I love it. I absolutely love it.
There you go. I've parlayed this into an awful lot of business. Not really, no, but it's been fun. I live next door to a legitimate rock star, a guy who used to be the lead singer and guitarist for a band from the 70s, a hard rock band called Triumph. And Triumph was a very big deal in the day, even across the United States. But anyway, he's my next door neighbor. So I told him that I was in Nashville, and I said I just want to take a picture of just we had a picture taken of me, performing a little, but just a little. So he thought that was good for a few
Did you tell him
yucks.
there were no strings on the guitar?
Yeah, no, there were some strings,
Oh,
just not a lot of strings, just random, just, but random strings were fine for me. That's all I needed.
oh, that's right. I just need the G string, the bass. There you go. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I didn't know, but you just scared me when you said G string. Now I have a picture in my head I don't ever need.
We've got extra pictures of you at the forum last year.
Yeah,
In
we
that
got
G string, right?
yes, yes, just a scary concept. So anyway, where am I here? Am I set up somewhere
This
right? Okay,
this is being recorded. We're going to take it to the cloud, then we're going to cut it up.
all right.
So we've sent some emails out to invite some people. If not, really what I'm trying to do is we're now sending blasts out with every speaker's mini meeting, which is really what this is.
Yeah,
Um, I talked to Van last week, or this week,
I saw
actually.
that. I
Yeah,
saw that.
yeah. And we're going to do the same thing with you too.
All right. So I know what I'm going to do. I've got a presentation on re-energizing life insurance sales, and I've got a sort of a similar kind of talk. No, sorry, similar setup, totally different talk, but a similar setup. It's all about life insurance, how to improve things. Coming from my, I think, rather unique perspective, which is not only have I done the job, but I know hundreds of people who also do it, and I take the best of the best. So it's like a potpourri, so to speak, of the best ideas I can, including some of the world's greatest people from all around the world. I was on the phone on Zoom yesterday or 2 days ago with Tony Gordon from Bristol, England, and he's going to be part of my Solus program, for example. And so you get a chance to drop that kind of stuff, a little bit of Van Miller. It's come almost like that's a little bit of what's that song? A little bit of a
Little
little
bit
bit.
of
Yeah, a little bit of Annie in my life, a little bit of Tony with my, that kind of stuff. So, so yeah, I've been drinking all morning, so you'll be happy to know that I should be fine.
Well, I've been up since 3:30, or since 3 o'clock this morning. I am in Charleston at a conference.
Ah, very
So,
nice.
well,
And
yeah, it's just a celebratory kickoff kind of thing with an insurance company.
oh, well, that's
So everybody's really excited. What's really fascinating to me is that every speaker I've chatted with so far is excited to see the other speakers. And it's kind of very humbling. You try and introduce the best of the best, and even they're going, you know what, I'm really looking forward to coming and learning as much as I possibly can from others.
yeah.
So not only are the people in the audience going to be rather impressed. I mean, I look forward. This year is going to be much more relaxing for me. Now that
Yeah.
I know that there's people around that can do, I don't have to worry about it as much. But
Well, and you don't have to wonder if the show will go off. You don't have to wonder, gee, what's he going to do? What's that going to look like? You
yeah,
know that you've got people that can perform. But it's funny you say that because I watched something the other day about the making of We Are the World.
yes, on
You know,
Netflix.
it happened after the AMAs, whatever it was, 1985. And it was funny because all these people that were there and crazy, Kenny Rogers, Michael Jackson. I mean, just a complete range. And they were all awestruck just to be there. They're all getting everybody to sign their stuff because. And by the way, in my experience, I don't know how you see this, but in my experience, I love going where I wonder if I could be as good as the people that are there. I love going to places like that because that means I give it everything. I'm going, there's no chance I'm going to be last. I don't know, but I'm not going to be last. So, and I think that a lot of people look at it that way. And you know, you want to be, you're competitive in a friendly, professional way. But, you know, and I think, or if nothing else, if only to keep up with the rest of them. And I know the group, and I'm very excited to be there too. I was initially, and I continue to be, and I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
Well, it's going to be fun. It's going to
So
be.
what do you want from me, just so I understand? You want me to talk about my talk in sort of,
That would be
I
cool.
know that you got Van started and you couldn't stop him. Like, shut up, I'll stop in a minute. I remember that part. It wasn't maybe quite like that, but
He's just amazing to listen to.
he is. He really
Yeah.
is.
So really, it's just, you know, every speaker is going to be bringing something a little different from everyone else. And, you know, it's fascinating to me. And I mentioned this, I think it was even on Vans. I don't know if they cut it out or not, but I said, you know, the neat thing about this idea is that I have a set of values and a set of core beliefs that may not match with other speakers. I mean, look, I wouldn't sell an IUL if it was the last policy on earth. And, you know, I invited David McKnight, and that's all he sells. So it's, you know, it's okay to have multiple impressions, multiple ways of skinning the cat, because what I'm trying to do is just make it available so that people can walk away with one or two or three nuggets. I'm gonna bring my, if I can remember, because I'm getting old, I want to bring my hourglass, because to me that's the most coveted award that we have in the Breakaway League. And
Sorry,
all,
I'm just looking for the one that I use all the time, which who the
yeah,
hell did it?
because I keep telling people I don't want little mini me's running around. I want people with thoughts about sales ideas that they can add their value proposition to and run with it. You know, believe in something and people will follow you. Believe in everything and you're a joke.
Yeah.
Everything is good. Well, yeah, but, and the only exception to this rule, you know, Harry, I'm preaching this, that the people at the top usually pick a lane and own it. Then you got Van. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you want to sell, he'll sell anything to
Well,
anyone.
but yeah, but Van still has a lane, and it's interesting. But Van's lane is around his presentation, and it's interesting because you say that, because I think a lot of people, because he does sell, you know, this plan, that plan, this stuff, annuities, and he's doing this, and he claims to deal on the backside on mutual funds and stuff, and you know, but he's got a strategy which he sells, and so that's what happens. He owns that strategy.
Yes.
You know, based on here's the 5 questions, and here's the 5, you know, the emotional fact finder, and that, so he has a strategy which never varies. Products change based upon what interests the client or where he can get them going. And by the way, it took me a long time to figure that out about him. And I've been working with him since since 07. So yeah, but you're right, mostly. And mostly people, but look, Sigurdsson's another example. He will talk about everything, but he's good at a couple of things.
Sure.
And he has a big organization behind him, owns his own building in downtown Winnipeg. I mean, you know, and he underplays all of that. He is the lowest key guy you can imagine. You'd never know. You would never know. Because he's a lot like Van. By the way, interestingly enough, Van is probably his hero. You know who Van's hero is? George Sigurdsson.
That's awesome.
It's really cool. It's really, because, and they're just like this.
Yeah,
But
that is so cool. That is cool. Well, he gave a tremendous amount of kudos to you. So, you know, you're going to have a lot of eyes on you too. So
Well,
really,
I got to tell you, I'm very excited about this. I tested something out last week. I did 3 annual meetings in Vancouver. So I did about 500 people, I guess, in those 3 meetings, plus or minus. And I wanted to check an idea out, and it was friggin' awesome. It worked 100%, and I'm very excited. It's a 10-part deal. I'm gonna, you know, last time it was like 13 or 14 parts. I got 10 parts. I'll do it. And it's all organized. It's slick. I'm not gonna drag out any paper. I'm not gonna have to do anything like. I always have the stuff in front of me, always. Why? Thing goes down, something dies. I want to stay on some kind of track.
sure.
It's not that I can't talk for an hour.
Yeah.
Like I can. It's, you know, stay on track. That's what I'm after. That's what I try to do for Van. I'm not very good at it there, but I try. But
Well, give
And
us an idea of the slant you're going to be bringing this year. And I mean, it's just going to be probably 3 to 5 minutes I'll give you the mic and you just share with what you're looking forward to, what you're going to be talking about, what's different, why, as Van kept saying over and over again, if you want to be one of the 8% that succeed, come. If you want to be one of the 92% that are going to fail, stay home. And I think that should be the message that I'm trying to bring out.
yeah, well, and the irony of the whole thing is, who ends up coming to stuff like this? The people who don't need it, who might not need it as much. Who are the people that are most excited about going? The people who don't need it at all. But I can tell you something, is that one of the things that got me, and I think I might have said this last time, but I say it regularly. One day I'm giving a session. I look in the room, and there is a guy who I know to make something in the order of $20 million. 20 million. Like, so he's doing okay. Even Canadian money, it's pretty good. And I'm looking, and I'm saying, and afterwards I said to him, I said, like, why are you here? Like, I mean, I 2 hours, half the stuff probably I kind of borrowed from you, and now I'm giving it back to you. I said, why would you be here? He said, think about this. He said, you know what, Ruta, even once in a while, you come up with some pretty slick stuff. Well, not always, but once in a while. And he says, what do I need? If I get one idea from you that can increase my business by 10% this year and every year thereafter, what's that worth to me? And I think that's something that's really underplayed in this business, Tom. I think people don't get it. You get 10% better this year, it never goes away. So in his case, that could be a $2 million bump this year, next year, the year after, what's that 2 hours worth? And that's what he told me. And I never forgot. So who goes to meetings like this? People who want that 10% bump
I
for
remember
the
going
rest of their lives.
I remember going to Don Blanton's 5th boot camp,
Yeah.
and he was going over roll call, and he looked up and he said, "Why are you here?" And I said, "Well, I learned from somebody there's needs versus wants. I do not need to be here. I want to be here because it only takes." And he gave me one quote that I use today that is, I don't know how many hundreds, tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars I've made from it, but it's part of my conversation. And I think that's what the point I'm trying to make to anyone who will listen to us long enough is it's one or two ideas. And then you get to network. We've got 10 hours where we're just going to be able to be hanging around people. And 10 hours of, well, what would you do? How would you do it? What are you looking forward to? Jim, I got to take this call real quick. I'm just, do me a favor. I'm going to turn my camera off. I want you to talk for just a couple of minutes. I'm going to be right back.
So you want me to just say something at all, period? Just talk.
I want you to, if you could, recite the encyclopedia for me, beginning with the A's.
Oh, A's, I can do that. Okay, good enough. I'll be able to do that. Yeah, look, it's a delight, of course, to return to the professionals forum. It's an honor, to be honest. I was tremendously impressed by what I saw last year, and it really got me excited about what will be there this year. I think, and I see a lot of times you'll see in the background around Tom, a picture of that sports center lineup of the speakers who were still there at the end of the day, and the questions from the audience and the people that were answering in different questions. Gosh, we had fun. We were laughing, we were crying, we had an extraordinary time. And that is really something that I look forward to in this year as well. You see, because it's not just the ideas that are important, it's getting those ideas firmly implanted into who you are and what you do. Now, do you need an idea from everybody? Do you need 1,000 ideas? No, of course you don't. Of course you don't. You don't need 1,000 ideas. You need only a few. You may only need one. I was telling Tom before, and I think this is true. I've seen I saw one guy in one of the sessions that I was giving years ago, and I know the guy to make about $20 million a year. And I asked him later, I said, "What are you doing here?" He says, well, Jimmy, every once in a while, you do have some good ideas. Oh, not often, but every once in a while. He says, and and what if one of those ideas could help me increase my income by just 10% for the rest of my career? What could that be worth to me? And that's something that has never left me. You see, you only need one idea. And in his case, 10% on 20 million is a massive increase in income. And that's exactly what you can get when you join and when you come to the Professionals Forum in Nashville the end of this month. Hey, and he's back now. Happy to have Tom said he had to take a phone call, but I know he went to the washroom, and that's tremendous. But here he is, Thomas Love.
The Sports Center, which everybody thought was going to be kind of hokey. I mean, I don't know if Van's comment made the cut. Did you watch it?
I took a call about. I didn't see all of Van, but
Okay.
I don't know. Listen, I think the funniest thing with Van it was his chair, but that's just me.
That's what he said. He said, "This year I want a chair."
I want a real chair. Because I have my chair would sink down, if I pressed it, but I won't be able to get it back up in time for this. So, yeah, but what a great thing that was. I was just saying that when you were gone. It was outstanding. It was, we laughed, we cried, we had fun, we learned things. People get that. And what I was getting at is we implant the message into the minds of the people that are there. And it's not that you need a million messages. You need one or two. Boy, if you can just get one great idea. And like I was saying about the guy, the $20 million guy, who comes to stuff like this? It's people who think that they can get a 10% bump, a 20% bump, not change their business. You can't go there and, start all over again. I mean, I guess you could, but you don't have to. And you don't have to do what Van does or what what Turner did or what Wendy will do or nothing. You only need an idea and you filter it through, you put it into your business. It could change everything.
One of the things we're going to be doing this year is we're going to have easels with Post-it note paper. And after every speaker speaks, as you leave, just write down your number one takeaway from the conversation. And then, so at Sports Center at the end, we're going to be using some of those. And then we're going to talk about how to implement those takeaways even further. Because remember, this whole conference is about how to do it, not what to do. So it's going to be the inside reasons as to why this stuff is going to work. So we're going to be, and then we're going to post those pages on the wall in the back of the theater.
Yeah.
So
great idea.
It's going to be a little bit different. Well, I'm excited to have you. I'm so grateful that Kinder put together 2 years ago. You and Van and I hooking up.
What a fortuitous combination that was.
Yeah.
Like it's like three brothers, just in the same meeting and going, what?
Yeah.
Like, I'll never forget going, this can't be. Okay, I know Van, but how did we miss Tom Love? Thank God he's here. He's one of us,
Well, it was sort of self-inflicted misery for a long time. I was so bent on just supporting one company and not wanting to deviate or branch out or take my ideas to another company. And, that kind of bit me in the butt. Excuse me, but I'm sort of a loyal person. And now, I mean, I question everything. At my age, I've got to look under the curtain and really kind of do a much deeper dive than I was before. And now, but I had no idea that I even knew anybody knew who I was. I knew that I had an impact on the company I was with, but I had no idea the impact that it was in the industry. If there is one, I don't know, maybe I could be living in a cloud too.
Well, no, but see, Tom, I think there is, but I think partly you were living, in the shadow or in an organization, and you were not out there as much as you could be, and that was a shame. It didn't help the industry. Now that you're coming out from away. I'm a professional speaker. Don't try this at home without stretching. But now that's important. So you've helped to change the world around you because now you're another voice another important voice of a master that is on the street. And I tell you something, and I think probably Van, alluded to this. There's just not a lot of this left.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of this out there. And, the industry is, I guess that traditional industry that has evolved in some circles, at least, to become something very special. But there's another part of it, which is very odd too. There's an odd group of this, big time up here in Canada. I see the same stuff in the United States. It's probably, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. So it's important. What's being done here is vital. It is vital to, like I say, to preserve, promote, and propel the noble profession of selling life insurance in all its forms. And I'm not just talking about the civilian uses, which are risk management. I'm talking about the professional uses of the product over here, which is the generational wealth issues. I got a whole talk about that. I could talk about the issues around generational nobility. Our family's trajectory is going to change. It's not going to be like this or like this. We can make that go up all the time. Our family will contribute to the community. It won't take from the community. That's something special. Life insurance is the only tool that can possibly do that. And that's aside from the taxes and the corporate stuff. And I mean, there are so many things the product does, and lots of people know what it is. There's just so few of them who know what it can do. You're one of those people, Tom, that understands some really sharp things that it can do that can change lives, and why that average $77,000 premium, and why you can do millions of premium in a month, and why I have some clients up here who qualify for top of the table by the 15th of January, because it's a different game. The game is different. It's like playing hockey without sticks and say, "Oh, tell you what, here's a stick." Huh? Who knew? Anyway.
Well, I am one of the things I want to do. I want to fill Bridgestone Arena, but one of the things I want to do is I want to fix this 8% success, 92% failure. And if I can get it 16% success, that's a 100% increase. And I think it's just the way that we communicate, the way we talk, what our objective is, the answers we're looking for, the path we're trying to take people, if they believe what we believe. And if they don't, then, there's too many people out there to get discouraged with. So even at 16% success, 100% increase in success rate in our industry, that's what, 84% crap? Now, I know some of the people shouldn't be getting a license at all. They should really open
a
the top
huge part of it. That's a huge part of it, Tom. Part of the problem, and it's happening here. It's worse. It's just getting worse as the number of career type companies. And I only say this about career companies. Look, first of all, I come from that. I was that. I supported that. I built that. I had a 250 agent organization. I get all that. And one of the things, our biggest job was to find people kind of that follow along with your philosophy of selling. Here's what we believe. If you believe what we believe, then we know we can help you. But if you don't believe what we believe, there's no sense you even being here. And right now, a lot of companies, a lot of organizations, IMOs, that kind of stuff, what are we doing? We're hiring anybody. What someone said to me, I never heard this, with 2 feet and a heartbeat. I never heard that 2 feet part. But anyway, 2 feet and a heartbeat. Oh, yes, it's a great side hustle. Yeah. Just don't say side hustle in my presence. I'm going to go right there and give you one, because that's crazy. So there is that part, but a big part. I just came off a call with a new client, and this person, can get access to almost anybody, can make appointments with almost anybody, even can sell the stuff. But can meet people, can get potential leads. But there's this missing. So the marketing is there, sales ability is there. What's the problem? She can't get the appointment under favorable circumstances. She can't open the case properly. These are words, stories, questions. This is the passion. And she says, I just don't know how to handle that. I said, that we can fix. That I can show you. And it'll change your life.
They say you can't teach passion and drive. And I tell you, but you do a really good job. And this is what I'm trying to do, is help people understand what they believe and articulate it in such a way they can be interesting and they can create their own passion and drive.
Tom, that's really an astute observation. Absolutely smart stuff. Because you're right. If they understand it the way I understand it, you know what? Like I've been working on a guy for 4 months now on a particular concept. And he keeps saying, yeah, I got it. I got it. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. And then, and then all of a sudden, like yesterday, he says, oh my gosh, now I took him 4 months. Now I get, but now we've released passion in him that was restrained because he didn't understand, and now, to your point, he can become a person of interest because now he knows something he didn't know before. He heard it, he could recite it, but now it's part of him. It's just a huge thing. And there's so much of what you do that is so important, not just as a salesperson, but even running the business, in my opinion. So, it's amazing. Truly.
Well, I use the analogy of being the rails of a bowling alley. When we take our grandkids, those things that pop up, I'm not going to pick up the ball. I'm not going to throw it. But if you'll throw the ball and you'll play the game, I'll just make sure you don't make a financial gutter. And that's played very well for me. I got my arm around everyone that is a client. I haven't had to push or pull anyone into believing what I believe because I don't want those people anymore. I want people who hear this and their jaw drops, or hear this and they go, oh my God, you're kidding. Yeah, this is only 111 years old and just found out last week. But there's a reason it's life insurance and not death insurance.
Yeah.
And people think that life insurance is such a horrible, there's so many agents that don't understand life insurance. I can understand why so many people in the public don't understand life insurance.
100% true.
According to LIMRA, what was it? 51% of the people would buy life insurance today, but they think it's too complicated.
Well, look, on that topic, and LIMRA did a study not long ago about North America and said that 62% of North Americans don't know what they have nor why they have it. I think that number is understated, but there's a better number. And that whole thing came down to this: 71% of clients were more confused about their life insurance after their advisor visited than they were before.
Oh my gosh.
So what does that tell you? You were better off not having that person show up at all. And why? Because they don't know anything. And it's not that you don't know, not that they don't want to, but we don't teach them anything. We don't show them the way. I was talking this morning to this young lady, and I'm telling you things, I've never heard that. 5 years in the business, and in an insurance family too. I have never heard those words.
Well, the neatest thing I like, when I interviewed you last time and you used this animation, you said you're listening to somebody over here and you're saying to yourself, I can do that just as well as they can.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of stuff that you'll see at the forum, which has nothing to do with the idiot on stage. Nothing to do with, you're going to be in the audience and you're going to be hearing conversations. You're going to go, gosh, if she can say it, I can say it. Or if he can do it that way, I can do it that way. And that's not from you. It's not from me. It's not from Van. It's not going to be from anyone on stage. It's going to be because they're in this group where they're allowed to just vent and explore.
It's the energy of the room. It kind of goes to it's a biblical thing. It's from Think and Grow Rich. That whole idea where, that what did Napoleon Hill say in Think and Grow Rich about the mastermind, where two or more of you get together. Of course, this is biblical too, but the whole idea, the mastermind is created, said Hill. It's the Lord says, I will be there also. And that's the thing. That's what happened. See how smart you are? You've discovered yet another reason to show up is because the mastermind will appear. Because if you can't have 500 people in a room and not have another brain show up, the overarching mastermind, you go, oh my gosh, this is stuff, I can do this. Hey, I've never heard this. Ideas will come from the stage that nobody had dreamt of before. That's the craziest thing. I will give a talk and then something, I'll turn a phrase. Somebody will say something. I'll make a combination. I go, I have no idea where this comes from. I'll write it down and I'll use it next time. But in a room like we'll have in Nashville with those speakers, the extraordinary talent that's in that room, what's going to happen is that there's going to be a mastermind, and there's going to be like ideas like rain falling down on the fertile ground of these advisors. That's absolutely what happens. That's what happens every time you put great people in a room. And that's what you've done. I'm not kidding. You know, the professionals forum will change lives. It did last year. It will do it even more this year.
Well, like I said, that was your idea, but thank you for giving me some of the credit, but that was responding to
But
you.
the idea, again, I never even thought of that. But that idea of the mastermind, absolutely. And by the way, not just in the room, in the auditorium, but we're having coffee, we're having lunch, we're just hanging around, we're at the hockey game, we're doing whatever we're doing.
Yep.
A little discussion with somebody, you know, on the way to the room in the morning, you know, and ding.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Anyone who hangs around you is going to be contagious, or you're going to be contagious, and they're going to get this disease, and they're not going to know how to handle it.
Well, look, all I know about this in this business is that you need to be with people who are encouraging, who have ideas that can help you grow, and who want you to grow also. And that's one of the other things about a room like this with those speakers. Nobody there is jealous of anybody else's success. Say, you know what? Yeah, you're this, I'm that. That's fine. You know what? If you're top of the table, I'm top of the table, and there's 10 guys, 10 times top 20. I don't care. Like it's like you hope for greatness from everybody. Because here's the other thing: a rising tide lifts all boats. Right? That's the deal.
Yeah.
And this is such a unique forum, oddly enough, but good name. It's such a unique forum because you've got people who really want to be there, who maybe some of them are tremendous producers and some of them are wishing they were tremendous producers. But, you know, if, like you said before, you know, if you want to be there, if you want to get better, you can. You absolutely can.
Well, we're going to make it available. We're going to make it available with your help, and I appreciate it. Appreciate your friendship, Jimmy. Love you dearly.
Yeah, well, back at you, brother. I love you like your brother, but a brother I actually like. So that's actually a good thing. You know, I was gonna tell you a little bit about what it is I'm gonna do in Nashville coming up in a few weeks, and I've got a completely different, unique presentation. But I want to talk about how advisors can re-energize their life insurance sales in this business. You know, and I think I've said this earlier, but I bring a rather unique perspective to this, not only as a tactical sales coach, which is really my job, but I've been able to steal and borrow ideas and adapt ideas from some of the best advisors around the world, including Tom Love. Tom, I quote you every single day. And I send you the usual commission on all those deals too, just so you know. The usual commission is in the mail. But I quote and why? Because there's a little bit of Tom Love that everybody needs to know. There's a little bit of, there's a little bit of Turner Thompson everybody needs to know. Wendy Feldman. There's a little bit of Van Miller. There's a little bit of David Kinder. There's a little bit of everybody that they need to know. What I've been able to do is bring this together and to show people, for example, how to prospect better. I want to change the game around prospecting. And one of the things that I know to be true that is so weird is that prospecting is not about looking for prospects or not about finding prospects. It's about eliminating non-prospects. One simple line. I have a whole 10-minute piece on this, not just that, but that's that changed the opinion, my whole view of prospecting. Because if you think you're looking for gold and you don't find any for the first while, you go, it's not going to work. No, we're moving the pay dirt away to reveal gold. That's what we're doing. I want to talk about positioning. I want to talk about the shame of selling that so many advisors have. They're afraid to be sales professionals. I want to talk about how we get away from that, how we find a way to position planning properly in the process so that advisors can get people their essential financial security first. So people what they can do is such an important consideration here. They can plan while protected, not plan while exposed to insurable threats. It's a huge deal. It can change. You'll do more planning, but you get paid to do it at the same time. It's amazing how to serve clients better. And in that piece, I'm going to talk specifically, I mentioned a while back, a little bit about this idea of the civilian and the professional uses of life insurance. Man, when you understand what this stuff can do for you, you know, like the Vans line, hey, if I could show you, and I did this on stage in a national Canadian National Advisors, Regulatory Advisors event. It was crazy. I said this, I said, if I could, to one of the people on stage, I said, if I could show you a way that you could be the beneficiary of your own life insurance policy while you were still alive, you know, a la Van Miller, would that be worth 20 minutes of your time? The guy I'm talking to is legitimately shocked. Never heard it. Was absolutely freaked out. He said, well, that would be great. I mean, I'm thinking if I could only I need an app. Like, it was crazy. I talked to a regulator, the guy in charge of regulation in all of Ontario, which is a 12 million person province. We're doing okay here. He shook my hand. He said, Jim, thank you. I have never heard those things. You see, they don't know, but you can position it better. You can advise better. You can talk about the specialty. You can figure out how to deal with centers of influence appropriately. It's an amazing, creating an ecosystem of specialists. You can build better, understanding that this is not a five big cases business neither. There's that big case trap continues to get so many people at some level. And we can avoid that stuff. We can find how to learn better. This is something that Van Miller talks about all the time. How could it be we have all these wizards out there and still we don't get anybody doing anything? Well, I mean, not anybody, but you know what I'm saying? Like, his point, how could it be we only have, like, to your point, you know, 8% success or 10%, whatever the number is, who cares? If it's not 100%, there's a problem. But how could it be? And then nobody, as Van said, I know when he was talking to you, you know, just so few people, like what, 1 in 20 survivors, only 1 in 20 survivors, like 5 or 6% maybe, even make enough money to put sandwiches in their lunch pail, like, which is MDRT. And it's not like MDRT, oh my God, MDRT is unbelievable. When I was 22 years old, going back to the 70s, that seemed like a really big number. Today you realize, that, wait a minute, there's a way around that. How to present better, realizing nobody needs life insurance. It's what they want. Changes the game. You don't want it. I'm not, well, I could change your religion in the next 10 minutes. Not going to happen, right? Talk about closing. What about how that can work? Using some of the great lines that are out there. But not only that, you know, how many times I hear people, advisors, they think they legitimately won't ask a closing question. They won't do anything, like I'm just saying, and I think you've had this discussion with me before. I think we've chatted about this. You just, you know, when you know that they bought, you're closing and it's over. You're writing them up. Make them stop you. Some people, some advisors are waiting for the customer, the client, to force them to sell it to them. And then delivering contracts, how you can do that and make it so, like guys like Van Miller, I thought the delivery is not the end of a sale, it's the beginning of the next sale. How we do that and how to service this stuff. I asked a question, I ask it all the time. I said, how many years should it take how many years should it take to do an annual review with a client? How many years should it take? Right? And they go, and then one guy told me, he says, 3. I said, 3 years for an annual review? He says, yes, 3. We've done the research, we had the data, whatever. We have 3 years, really. Kind of reminds me of that great joke about this whole business, which is what? You know, how do you get rid of a life insurance agent? Buy something. Poof, never see them again. The end, right? So we're going to talk about that. Now, there's the 3-minute version or whatever that was, but I want to get into this. Why? Because, man, life insurance this is the best time ever to buy this. Man, this is, by the way, the products we have right now are the best they're ever going to be, because if there's anything I know about government, that they're hungry for money and they're going to look for tax. Remember, NAFA, NALU, was started in 1899, and around the concept of government wanted to tax life insurance, and they thought that was a good idea. But they didn't. In the NALU got together. By the way, the same thing happened in 1906 in Canada. Same thing. He said, wait a minute. And they didn't for two reasons. One is the extraordinary economic power of the product and the extraordinary community value of the product. And those things have not changed. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get stuck. So when's the best time to buy? Right now.
Yesterday, yes.
It would have been better yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, like the old story goes, if you want to sit under the shade of a big old oak tree, when was the best time to plant that acorn? You're right, 40 years ago. When's the next best time? Today.
Right now, yeah.
Right now, this minute. Go home, make a phone call now. You can do the whole thing on Zoom now, apparently. Let's just do that. And that's the other thing. As you're hearing ideas from me or from Van or from anybody on that list, I keep mentioning Van because he's like my brother. But or from Tom Love, if you're hearing ideas, do what a guy like Ben Feldman used to do. And what did Ben do in meetings? He would go. He'd have his head down the entire time. People thought he was sleeping. How do I know? His son told me this, who was a client of mine. But what was the story? It was easy. He said, here's a note, here's an idea from Tom Love. I got 3 names for that. Writes those 3 names down. Here's an idea from Wendy. I write those 3 names down. Van Miller. I got a name for that too. He would come away from every meeting with 30 or 40 names. What if that's all you got out of the professionals forum? A list of, say, I don't know, 25 hot prospects. What would you pay for that?
Exactly.
Right? Amazing.
Well, there are so many ways to capitalize on the opportunity. I just hope this gets to be something that's in everybody's annual repertoire, and they feel they're obligated, they have to attend, because as long as I'm alive, I want to do something like this. So this is I'm just thrilled to be able to have you on stage and laugh my ass off with you at the end. And usually the jokes are about me, because in my office, I'm usually the one who is the one being made fun of. And I'm okay with that. I really am. I want to bring back the euphoria that every agent talks about when they got their license. The day they got their license, they were going to set the world on fire. And from that minute on, it became just a disaster. And we don't have to do that again. So if I want people, once they're there, I want them to go back to the days that they got their license and the fact they were going to change the world. I want them walking out the door on Friday afternoon with that attitude, so they can change the world. I'm going to bring back the excitement of this job, because there's a lot to be thankful for.
That is, what a noble mission crusade that is. By the way, just a side note, I was pretty damn sure when I was 21 years old that I absolutely aced my exam. I was pretty sure, because I was a university graduate. I was pretty smart back then, you know, and I thought I'd aced it. And you had to have 75% to pass. I thought, well, I have 98 or 99. I don't know. What did I get? 75. So I didn't have I had euphoria, but for another reason. Dear Lord, I made it. I can't believe I made it. You're right. And then we beat all the good stuff out of people by showing them things that don't work. And you've said this before, right? We do that. It's like kids. They got naive enthusiasm. They're excited. And then we keep telling them, well, you can't do this. You can't do. And so we do that to kids. We do that to kids in the business too. And that's what I see here, Tom, out of the professionals forum, is that we're going to re-energize the kids in the business. We're going to show them, hey, you know what? Some of those ideas you had are good. And here's a few other ones that are also good. And you know what? Maybe you couldn't do that, but you can do this. And if you do this and you do enough of this, you're going to be top of the table. Surely to God, you're going to be MDRT. And then and what I've seen, and Tom, the part that blows me away is to see people, like I mentioned, I have a client who last year finished at 5 times top of the table. 5 times. Now, I thought top of the table was the top of the table. It turns out it's just a step on the way to, I don't know what.
I know
a guy with 1,200 times MDRT last year. 1,200. So you go, wait a minute, what am I doing over here at MDRT? So don't tell me, oh, I know enough now. I'm core to the table. Tommy, I'm core to the table. I don't need to know nothing. I know everything I need to know. Yeah, right.
What's a table?
Huh?
What's a table? I mean, the
Yeah.
only people that hear that are the people that are in the business. And
Well,
everybody else, it's a table. It's this table I'm sitting at. Big deal. It's a table. It's flat.
yeah.
It's kind of a, false sense of euphoria. Um, but
But here's
again,
the thing. But here's the thing, Tom. I mean, even within that organization, as much as I love it, and I do, we don't have these discussions like we're having. This is a level beyond. It's a separate category of awesome at the professionals forum. This whole idea, it just doesn't happen in many places. There are some. There are some. I've seen some. I've been to the Middle East where we saw something in this vein. You know, we have something similar in Canada. I know of one in Eastern Europe. I'll be there in May. Right? But there are not many. And I think in the United States, there is one. And the guy that's running it sitting beside me here on that screen.
wow. Well, I got my job cut out for me.
Well, I think that there's a special place in heaven. And I think for people who are trying to help others, to try to make the world a better place. And I always think about this, Tom. You sell and you do an extraordinary job. I used to sell, now I help people sell. And I always think about how much insurance have I sold through other advisors? How much insurance will we sell through the professionals forum because of the ideas that are part of the professionals forum?
That would
Billions.
that would be a great statistic to try to keep track of.
Yeah, it'll
That
be
would
billions, Tom. It'll
billions.
be billions, and there'll be millions of families, hundreds of thousands at least, who will be advantaged because of the lessons they've learned. So this is not just about advisors and about Tom Love and about Jim Ruta or Van Miller, anybody. It's really about the client. It's really about how do we advantage clients. And to your point earlier on, everybody's got a different way of going at it. We've got different angles. You're talking about, this guy sells IUL. I wouldn't do that, but there's a place for that, and here's how that works, and that keeps some people happy. I will keep other people happy. You ask a guy like Van, what's the smallest case you wrote last year? And he'll tell you, I think it was like $12.91 a month. And you go, what? A big shooter like you, $12.91 a month? Why would you do that? And the answer is always the same, because that's what they needed. And that's what they could do. And it's that sense that advisors need to have. Boy, I'm telling you, I get so excited. I got goosebumps up and down my arms and my legs and the rest of it as I think about this, because I keep thinking about widows and orphans. I keep thinking about businesses who are all of a sudden going to be in the hands of, the competitor at a fire sale price. You think about people who don't get the retirement they want to have because they never figured out how to put that insurance program together. A guy like Tom Hegna, spend your money in retirement, maximize your income, and leave your kids cash value life insurance. All of these stories that'll never happen, except that those ideas get to the street, get to the advisors that we so much want to support and build and lift up in their career.
I want to make a point here. I don't dislike any insurance product. I think everything from an annuity to a SPIA to IUL, EIUL, all of that, all of them have a place, all of them.
Yeah.
And where I am vocal on the distribution side of collateral, understanding how the use of collateral, I just question the validity of the long-term effect. So so we're going to cut this out anyway, but I don't want it to be inferred that I was having David come in the back of my mind thinking, what an idiot. I wouldn't do anything he did.
Yeah.
That's not.
Tom, I think, the way I took it was this: there are no bad products. Look,
I agree.
companies both in Canada, United States, every place I've been, Southeast Asia, in Europe, everywhere, Middle East, I've been to a lot of places. There are no bad companies. They're regulated, but they're here. Like, it's not about they don't. So there are really no bad companies, really no bad products. Here's what happens. There are no bad products. There are bad applications of products. Right?
Great.
Look,
Yes.
if I have an Omega watch and I need a new spring and I try to put a Rolex spring in it, It's
Yeah.
not gonna work.
Yeah.
What,
Good
Rolex is
analogy.
bad? No. So Omega bad? No. Just it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's what, again, what's the professionals forum gonna do? It's gonna say, hey, guess what? We take these people, and I love David, and he's got a great point. For these people, this is what works. And there's lots of ideas that I wouldn't use because I'm not a gimmicky guy. I'm like, it's funny. I keep thinking, and I knew him. I was very blessed to know him personally, Al Granum. And you talk about Al Granum and what Al wanted. The Northwestern Mutual, Icon, the one card system, the art and science of building a life insurance clientele, that stuff. He says, I like plain vanilla.
I
And
love
you
it.
know what?
I love
And
it.
I'm a plain vanilla guy and you know why I like it? Because with plain vanilla, you can put strawberries on it, bananas on it, peanuts on it,
And it's
chocolate
still
on it.
vanilla.
It's still vanilla. And you know what? If you want to put a lot of chocolate, it'll look like chocolate, but it was vanilla. And that's how I look at this business.
That's a great analogy. I'm going to
Let's understand plain vanilla.
Yeah.
Let's try to understand something. That's the big problem. And that's how people get the wrong application of products. They don't understand.
Yeah.
I work with guys, Tom, and they say, you need to know the product as well as the actuaries and the underwriters who created it. Then you can apply it appropriately. If you can't, then you're just look, term insurance, basic stuff, cover a mortgage, cover a business loan, that kind of stuff. How much can you screw that up? I get it. The mortgage is $1 million, up here in Toronto, $1.5 million just to get started, probably on a mortgage. Fine. God willing, you have that kind of income. But you know what? You need $1 million worth of term insurance. It's $1 million worth of term. And if you go to the top from the top number to the bottom 20th number on policies, top companies, 3% difference. So how can you screw that up?
Yeah.
That's the civilian uses of the product.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the professional uses.
Yeah.
And if you understand that, there's where your premium. If you're looking about wondering, should I go to the professional forum? If your average premium is $2,000 a year, would you like to know how a little bit of knowledge could 10x your premium?
By asking one or two questions. Exactly.
That's what we're going to do.
Yep.
And that's because we'll give you the background that'll change the game. I'll talk about cash value life insurance. I talked the other day about I talked about this. I said, selling cash value life insurance is really just rearranging assets to maximize estate value and minimize tax paid. And this agent's going, what? I said, rearranging. What am I doing? I'm taking money from that department and putting it over here. And here's what you get in the swap. See, but that's not on the illustration. So he had never heard that. I talked to a woman in Vancouver on Thursday last week. And I get an email and I was talking about these ideas. And very young woman, like I'm talking, I think my cat's older than she is. It's crazy. And she sent me an email on Sunday. I just wanted you to know I used your idea and I sold 2 of my biggest cases ever. She just started, sold them on Saturday morning.
Woo!
Yay! We made a difference and we probably changed her life. But we also changed the lives of the people she was working with.
Right. Well, finish up. Give us just one quote about why someone should be there. Then I'm going to shut this off, and then I'm going to chat with you a little bit off camera. But what's the one thing you want someone to walk away with when they walk out of that door on Friday afternoon?
It's a combination of things. Tom. The reason I go, I've always gone. The reason I go to big meetings all around the world. I want to feel the energy in the room. Yes, the ideas are extraordinary. But what I've discovered by going to great meetings with great speakers like we have at the Professionals Forum, and you can take me out of that. I'm not trying to blow smoke up my own skirt. But here's what I am saying, is that when you go to a meeting like that, man, you feel like you're better. I've just found a way to be re-energized, to be gassed up, to be encouraged, to be more enthusiastic. And then I have 1 or 2 great ideas that I can drive with that renewed energy. with that renewed enthusiasm. And I think if we're walking out of that room and we feel like, man, there is so much more I can do. I have so much more gas in the tank. I have so many more prospects that I can deal with. And I think we have done something that it's not about continuing education credits. It's not about technical knowledge. It's about you. And if you can feel like you have learned that you have been transformed by being in a room of like-minded people who all want to excel, then you will have got your money back 100 times as you're getting back on the plane or jumping in your car. But that to me is why I go to great meetings, why even when I speak at great meetings, I sit through the whole thing. Why? I want to feel the energy. Because that energy doesn't go away, Tom. It's always there. I still feel it. You know, I've been showing pictures of, you know, there's me. You would think we were getting pictures taken last year. I look at that picture, I can feel what that was like. And that's what I think you can get. I think you can be re-energized, re-enthused. You can increase your confidence. This is a confidence multiplier. That's before you get to any of the ideas. And let's be honest, confidence multiplies competence. And just that room, just those people, all that stuff will make you a better person, and that'll make you a better advisor, and you'll be able to serve more and sell more at the same time.
Well, I'm going to go. Thank you, Jim. That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing you February 28th, 29th, and March 1st. You're going to be there the Tuesday. We're going to the hockey game. We've got your ticket.
I'll be there.
It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a blast, and I look forward to seeing you again. And thank you for taking the time and making this part of my dream as well. I appreciate that.
It's my honor to be with you, brother. God bless you. And I really hope, and I hope to see a whole pile of people, friends, new friends, and old friends all across Canada and the United States, because I do know there are Canadians coming down.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll see you in a few weeks.
You bet.
All right.